So I have this rule of thumb that if I think of something and I'm still thinking about it, let's say 42 hours after I had a first thought, then evidently I'm supposed to share it. So, so here goes. So, y'all know the last few days it's just been raining and raining and raining and raining and raining. And if you are part of the garden community, you like the first 2 days, you like, whoa, all this rain, yay. And then about the third day, you like, okay, now, too much of a good thing might not be so good anymore. So, anywho, so by around the fourth day of rain, you were like, wait. You hear a few people saying, I had to pull my tomatoes inside, but some of us ain't fancy like that. They got the wheels under the pots and stuff. So, ain't no such thing as moving nothing inside. If it ain't already inside, it won't be coming inside. So, I guess I said all that to say that if there was a group of people who celebrate the smallest thing, I would say gardeners or growers or people who love to be in nature and to be kind of doing things outdoors, because it's been garden update after garden update, and showing off the harvest and showing off how they're the progress that they're making and how far they've come, and just basically letting everybody know the status. And people like, ooh, it's a thing to watch somebody else's progress. It's a thing to see how they're coming along with theirs. And of course, there are success stories, and then there are not so success stories. And I think smart gardeners know that you always need to keep something starting. So, even though you have your things planted and you're watching it and you're, kind of clipping back, and then you're propagating, plants, and then you got your little containers and you're putting dirt in and starting some seeds, because that filling in is also important, because you got to fill in the spot. So let's say you plant 3 cucumber plants in a container, and you go out one day, you see 2 cucumber plants in a little hole, and all that means is some squirrel done ate one of your plants. You can fuss about it, but that's just a part of gardening. That's a part of growing. So what you do is you go grab that other seedling that you've already started, and you put it in there, and you just keep right on going, okay? So, if you are looking for a celebratory group of people or a celebratory community, then please look into the gardening community. Because I tell you, we celebrate sunflowers, we celebrate the first cucumber, we celebrate everything. We celebrate everything. But let me get down to it. Okay, so in this thing called life, there will be ups and there will be downs. There are 2 types of people. Well, I won't say there are 2 types of people, but I'm going to talk about 2 types of people for the sake of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. All right, so you got the shamers and then you got the blamers, okay? So how you have people and they just looking for somebody to blame. It's like whatever going on in their life, they just looking for somebody to blame. And so they just kind of pick somebody, knowing darn well that person ain't got nothing to do with outcomes in their life. They are responsible for what goes on in their life. They made choices. They permitted it or they did not allow it, but it's their choice, okay? And then you got the shamers, people who are just stuck on labeling you the way they want to label you. And so they're hoping that you would just go in a corner and just sit down and be quiet, because their goal is to shame you. See, she this, or see, he that. And I told you it wasn't all that you thought it was. So I came to say this. You better pick what you want to do. whatever brings joy to you, what makes you happy. And you better not give too much time and attention to people who need someone to blame. And because they have nothing better to do, they are going to try to shame you into not progressing and doing what it is that you need to do. Now, sometimes you might decide to take a break. You might decide to detour. You might decide to pivot, and in their little small head, they think it was about them. If you want to do it, you do it. It's for you. It ain't got nothing to do with them, okay? Because you know what? There will always be blamers. There will always be shamers, and you got to shake it off. I would say you got to shake that off, okay? You got to shake it off because it's going to come. And a lot of times people are what they call deflecting. They don't want it on them, so they got to put it on somebody. And they just look for somebody just around. The least amount of pushback, you know what I mean? Because some people they push it too, they can be like, hold on, they're going to shove it back 10 times more aggressive, 10 times harder. But some people like, nah, I don't waste my energy like that. So you might be the one that they're trying to blame, they're trying to shame, but don't go for the okie dokie, okay? Find your lane, find your tribe, do you. And you know what? If there's a season and you got to be by yourself, it's okay. Be by yourself. Because I think you'd be better off in the company of a few that mean you some good than to be in the company of many that are pretending. Okay? So, in addition to that, I'm not going to come from the perspective of, you know how people say, oh, it's Mental Health Awareness Month and check in and check on your people. I'm directing this to the people that you, in your everyday living, you see people struggling. You see people tipping over, and you do something to provoke them to make them fall on off, okay? And let me say this. You know exactly what you're doing. Because you see people when they're fragile, when they're vulnerable, when they seem to be going through a low season. And instead of encouraging them, instead of saying, hey, it's going to be all right, you laugh, you giggle, you add to the problem. You're just downright trifling. You're low down. You're just a scoundrel. What you do is you add on to it. You add on to it. And then when that person flip, fall, get shaky, ooh, I told you something was wrong. You know what? Because people love to say, something wrong with her, or something wrong with him, or something wrong with them folk. Guess what? Something wrong with all of us. Let me say that again. Something wrong with all of us. Your something might not be my something, but something is wrong with all of us. But I'm going to challenge you, instead of just saying, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, I want you to stop adding to that problem. Because there are people who are causing illnesses in others, or you're increasing the problems in people's lives by your behavior. So when you are aware of something, that means you take note of it. You don't add to a situation. If you can't make it better, you leave it alone. Okay? And guess what? If when a person decides to go get help, you don't talk about them. Okay? You let them go get the help they need. And then guess what? When they move on and no longer need help, you ain't got to keep talking about it. In fact, stop making them the topic of your conversation. Talk about your darn self. And stay out of these folk files and business and stuff. And stop running and telling folks stuff. Stop adding to the narrative. Stop adding to the files. Because some of y'all create narratives. Y'all make situations 10 times worse. Y'all do some low down stuff and be the main one talking about Heart Health Month and giving folk heartaches. or oh, it's mental health awareness. Check on your strong people. And you weighing folk out. I mean weighing them out and then giggling. Giggling. So I don't have to say you know who I'm talking to, because I'm not talking to a specific person. I'm even talking to myself. Because see, when we see people struggle, some of us will laugh. And sometimes I have to catch myself because I have to tell myself that ain't funny. Wait. It's funny, but it's not funny. And so I have to take a step back and say, okay, wait. If you chuckle, then wait, you don't keep chuckling. Because there's an issue there and it needs to be addressed. And how that person chooses to address it is their business. So you either going to help it, but you're definitely not going to hurt it. So if you're walking around here blaming folk, got folk feeling bad, like what I do, like what happened? Like I don't understand. Say something. What happened? You need to stop that. You need to if you got something to say it. If you got something to ask it. Get the answers you need. Ask the questions you need to ask. Say what needs to be said and move on. And then you know what else? Stop letting jealousy cause you to try to bring shame to someone. Some of y'all don't look for something. Well, better yet, you look for it, but when you can't find it, you're going to create it. But guess what? You ain't got to create it. If it's there, it's going to come out. You know how they say if it don't come out in the wash, it's going to come out in the rinse. Let it come out. You ain't got to force it. You ain't got to go in there cutting the suture, cutting it open and to let it flow. Let it come out when it's supposed to come out. Let it just happen. You ain't got to help it. You ain't got to hurt it. All right. So that's all I got for today. But you going to hear from me a little bit more, especially if I'm thinking about it. And you know what? Do y'all remember back in the day when children used to say your mama, and then the other child say your mama, and then the other person say your whole generation? Like before you start naming other people, I just want you to know it's your whole generation. I believe that what we do affects generations. I actually do. Now, I don't think everything and it applies to everybody. Some people, it seems like they have certain expectations on them, and then it seems like some people don't carry those expectations for whatever reason, whether they're there or not. I can't speak for other people, but when you do a thing, you could very well be affecting not just your life, but the lives that you brought into this world, and then the people that they bring in, and you in turn affect generations. And so you got to be mindful of the seeds you're sowing and what you're putting out there, because you could very well receive the karma for it, or your seed could receive the karma for it. And you don't want that to happen, because couldn't you imagine somebody having to deal with something and they didn't even lift a finger? But it's some past stuff that they dealing with. That's crazy. If you ask me, I would say that shouldn't be, but I can't say it's not that way. But I'll say this much: because I know the power of a seed, I know that you're gonna reap what you sow. All of that applies. So I'm going to put out the stuff I want to get back. And I'm going to behave the way I want to see people behave in the world. I'm not going to expect something from others that I can't expect of myself. I'm not gonna have no double standards. We all gotta have high expectations. And then, I might get to this level, you might get to another level, but hey, we're all putting forth our best efforts. And I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna be done. You put one foot in front of the other and you keep on moving. And I'm gonna tell you like this: get up, get it done, and then do it again. Don't you sit there and worry about all the stuff that's happening, all the things that have to be done. Because I was just saying how I be out there doing the garden and trying to grow something. I said I need to learn how to mow the yard and weed eat. Yes, I sure do. I need to learn how to do that. Because I tell you, not only did the rain cause the garden to grow and the container plants to grow, this grass is high, okay? So bottom line, we're gonna ship up because we ain't shipping out, okay? We're gonna ship up because we're not shipping out. Have a wonderful day and move.